he can do more for basketball where he is now.
Right. Right.
Yeah. He can do more.
Right.
You know, it's a small world. That's that globalization. I was telling somebody about JR in my church. Now we got 58 members, little Catholic church. That's all we got, 58 members. And I was telling about this kid in Russia, and this lady said, I said, my son's in Russia. And I said, her name is Miss Scott. She plays the piano in church. She said, my son's in Russia. So he's been there over 20 years. And I said, well, what? She said, he's the principal of elementary school. I said, lady, are you serious? She said, yeah. I said, yeah, he went over there to teach English 20-some years ago. He's from right here in Montgomery, not right in my neighborhood, over in the ghetto. And said he's been over ever since. And he finally became the principal of tell you something else happened. She told me. Anyway, he came home, and I was in New York, but he came home for his sister. She died. He came home for the funeral, and he's had some kind of stroke or something, and he's lost one of the languages. He's either lost the English or the Russian. Now, where he used to be bilingual, now he can only speak one language.
Wow.
And so she said, it's time for him to retire and come on home.
Wow.
But he doesn't want to come home. He may retire, but he won't come home. I said, you got to be kidding me. Right here in Montgomery, Alabama.
Wow.
The boy grew up.
Wow.
That shocked me. And then when I asked my wife about it, she said, I thought you knew. His name is Charles Scott. I said, baby, I never heard no Charles Scott. I didn't know anybody. Yeah, Charles Scott.
Wow.
And I don't know whether it's in Moscow or what, but he's the principal of elementary school from Montgomery, Alabama. I said, you got to get out of here. So there's another one of those pioneers, you know. You think about that? Gee.
Wow.
But I've been checking on these billionaires now. Does he ever talk about these rich Russian guys? The one just bought the New Jersey Nets.
The Nets. They used to be. I think we used to be part owner of such the team that JR plays for.
Really?
Yeah. JR. I think this guy, and I see guys. This is a friend. Me and him. Like I said, I'm the one he'll call if he's when he's frustrated. He can call me and be like, "Man, you don't have any idea." But this is a guy that's like, you know what? I'm here to do my job. When the coaches, they'll come to him and be like, yo, what do you think, John? His thing is like, you know what? If you're the coach.
That's Avery Johnson. That's same. I tell you, look, them two guys ought to be brothers. Yeah, I sense that. I through Darius and through reading the manuscript, that he sounds like Avery Johnson.
Yeah, he's an adamant person. Where, like, when they talk, you know, he doesn't talk to the media. He's like, the whole purpose of with the book, the memoir we coming with, I'm working to having a special edition of things, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to put a DVD of real where he can talk candid, because he's like, he doesn't speak his mind because they don't want to hear his mind. You know, he's like, well, my job is to play basketball. My job is to be an ambassador, if you will. My job is to perform, you know what I mean, and to perform at the best of my ability. JR Holden is one that's like, I'm not going to drive this till the wheels fall off for the check.
Right.
He's like, whenever I'm done bouncing this ball, I'm done. And he's like, when I walk away from it, I'm going to walk away. They're not going to push me out of the game I love. You know what I mean? So his situation is that, honestly, I'm planning on sitting down and letting him candidly speak in his memoir, to where it's like, okay, sit him down similar to how I'm talking to you, and be like, okay, tell me what you really feel. So let's let people see what you really feel.
Yeah.
So not only are you going to get the memoirs, who's going to tell his story, but I want to give readers an opportunity to where they can sit there, and I want you to really don't just you look at him as a pro athlete. That's not negating anything. He is a pro athlete.
Right.
There's a man inside that when he takes off his uniform, he carries that whole burden.
I sense that. Yeah.
You know, and I think if you don't get to know JR, if you just look at the highlight reels I may have on his website, or you see the images, you see that's a kid that's playing against the redemption team in the pre-Olympic game, you know what I mean? You won't get a sense of what this kid is doing. Imagine walking outside this door, or when you in his memoir, he talks about his first year in Lafayette, and he's like, you can't eat anything. They're telling you don't drink the water. They're telling you don't eat the food at this grocery store. You go to McDonald's and they don't understand anything you're saying. You know what I mean? And you're having to look and hope that they get it right. I mean, you know what I mean? And I think because of a high bid, and that's what his story is about. Coach is about. You got to believe in something to make this work.
Yes, sir.
Some of you, if you just believe it in the money, okay, that's going to go. That currency is eventually going to go, and then you'll find yourself as this. I used to have millions. Help me now. And I'm not knocking or judging, but at least this is a guy. Trust me. I picked JR for the airport before memoirs, and I remember the toll booth, and the lady was shorting him $1.50, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna wait here till we get this right," you know. and he's looking at me like, no, I work hard for my money. I'm not doing this for the money. So I think when you get in that sense, I'm doing it for the money. I'm worth, let's say, millions. These athletes that are worth millions, like I'm doing it for me. That $1, that $5, nah, don't worry about that. I work for the money. I do my job for the money. Well, he's like, no, I do it for the passion. I work hard for the money because of the passion. So that $1.50 that you owe me right here, I'll wait right here and we'll hold up all these cards until we go to get the $1.50. And I'm sitting there like, Jay, come on.
But you know, I hope I don't mean to be cynical, but the American public is just the movie Black Magic, for example. Took us 3.5 years. We still have left 280 some hours of interviews.
Wow.
And we tried to donate free to the NAACP. They didn't respond. We tried donating to black colleges because it was really mostly about black college basketball. Nobody showing it. Our people, capitalism will do this to you now. We're not as sensitive to real important things in life that we should be. And you know, we don't read, man.
Right.
I was trying to explain to some guy, I went to Fisk University, and during those days, that was the #1 HBCU in the nation. And we were cocky. We knew we were smart, man. We had about 780 students, and I think I was 780. Man, we had brains, man. We had guys. We had in those days they let you in at 13 or 14 years old if you passed certain exams. Man, we some heavy kids there. When Von Braun came into this country to set up this Redstone Arsenal space stuff, those are kids he hired. Those kids from Fisk University, just brains, man. Good little old boy, and I sort of. They fell in love with me. I fell in love with them because I could play basketball and they couldn't play anything. And they'd come over and I'd play with them on Saturday mornings. You know, the little bitty boys like this. Just and I remember once, and we had Korean war veterans in those days coming back. That's 1952. 3 guys were coming back from the Korean War. They were older and had these little kids on the campus. We call them basic college kids. Now I guess they call them nerds today. But man, we had a big explosion on the campus, and it rocked the dormitory, and I said, "What is that?" And the guy said, "Man, that's them eggheads over there." I said, "They over there about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in the science building. They done mixed up some wrong chemicals." But when we had our convocation, I had a great president, Charles Spurgeon Johnson. Man, he was a great one, and he was doing diplomatic work. He and Ralph Bunch would go into the Middle East and help settle arguments between these groups. Anyway, he said, I've been away a while, as you all know. I think that's when Egypt was having that trouble with Nasser.